It's 3:15, and that means it's time for...
The Real Deal with Bill McNeil.
That's right. Welcome once again to The Real Deal with Bill McNeil. I'm your host, Bill McNeil, and you're probably wondering exactly what is The Real Deal today.
Hey, good question.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time for another comic book news update. Today we're going to be talking about DC Comics. We had a plethora of announcements for DC Comics coming out in the next several months, mostly in September. We also got an October release announcement as well. Some big stuff. I hope you like Batman, or you don't think there's enough, because we're getting another Batman series, but this one's just a little bit different, and I think it's going to have a lot of people intrigued, following up on the Fable series by Bill Willingham. We're also getting a new Deathstroke series. We haven't seen that character featured in his own series since Christopher Priest's run. Man, was that like 2 years ago? Man, it feels like Deathstroke probably should have been released sometime in between now and then, but he's just played a role as an antagonist in some of the Batman-related title. We also have a new Aquaman series coming out, The Becoming. If you're a big fan of Arthur Curry Aquaman, I'm sorry, you're going to be disappointed. This is going to be Jackson Hyde's first ongoing series as the Aquaman of DC Comics. Not sure if this is Elseworlds or it's going to be in regular continuity. Who knows? It seems kind of weird, as there is an Aquaman movie coming out with Arthur Curry. Also, we've got a new Titans graphic novel coming up. Pretty interesting team up that they've got there. I like the lineup. Can't wait to talk about that one. And also, they've got information about the upcoming Halloween-themed one-shot that they got coming out that's going to be centered around Darkseid. Good stuff here. Nothing here really to complain about. These are all pretty exciting in my book. They're all at least worth a look. And I think most people, if you're a DC Comics fan, I think most people are going to find almost every one of these announcements pretty exciting, unless you think there's too much Batman. In which case, you're probably right, but there is going to be more Batman, but it's going to be Batman with a twist. If you like the Fable series, which I believe was under the DC Vertigo label for 150 issues, had a nice long run, ended about 6 years ago. There's going to be a Black Label 6-issue miniseries called Batman vs. Bigby. If you recognize that name, that is the big bad wolf from the fairy tales, at least within the Bill Willingham Fable universe. It's going to be coming out September 21st. We're going to get Bill Willingham back as the writer, and pencils by Brian Level. Inker is going to be Jay Leistein. And this is going to have the resident sheriff of Fable popping up in Gotham, accused of a string of murders. Sounds pretty good. This is what DC Comics says is just as far as the information they've released so far, and it's very limited. With the blood dry at Gotham's fourth gruesome murder scene in as many weeks, Batman is stumped. The same hallmarks haunt each investigation: brute force entries, bodies ripped to shreds, and stamped with enormous bite marks and clumps of wolf fur scattered in the wreckage. The streets buzz with rumors of a werewolf of Gotham. Sounds pretty exciting. You could see why Bigby might be fingered for the crime if he's in the vicinity of Gotham. This is really exciting stuff. And if you're a fan of Fable, you're like, well, I wish I was getting more than a one-shot. Well, you're in luck, because this is the beginning of the reintroduction of Fable. I believe it's going to be picking up with issue 151 next May, and it's going to be kicking off with a 12-part story called The Black Forest, and that is going to have Bill Willingham, but it's also going to have Mark Buckingham on art. So the original team getting back together. And I believe Willingham's also writing a 48-page Justice League one-shot called Christmas. I wonder if that's going to be coming out for Halloween or Christmas, probably somewhere around the end of the year. So we're getting more Fable stuff. If you're interested in that universe, really something unique that they did with DC Comics characters. 150 issues. I mean, that is a good, solid run on a title, and I'm glad that it's coming back. And I personally, listen, I've talked about it here on the channel. There are too many Batman books. For the amount of comic books that DC are releasing, it shouldn't be like 33%, 25%, somewhere in there, Batman comics. Batman-related comics. That's a bit much. But hey, this one's a little different. So I'm complicated. I'm still excited for this. I'm definitely going to be a customer for this one. And I'll probably go back and read some more of those Fable comics. I never actually got to finish the series, so This is very exciting, and I think most people will be. They might not be over the moon, but I think they're going to be interested. And it feels like they're putting a new emphasis on Black Label, maybe returning to its roots, and maybe some more stories and creators worthy of that Prestige Plus Black Label, format that they're kind of getting back into the mix with. Next up, we've got a Deathstroke Incorporated, Deathstroke Inc. I am definitely a customer for this one, and this one's got a great creative team as well. We got Joshua Williamson. When you think about DC Comics writers, like who's better than Joshua Williamson? Who's more consistent than Joshua Williamson right now? A lot of people say James Tynion. He's certainly a hot writer. But there's so much new blood at DC Comics. It's hard to truly finger just more than a couple of writers. Me personally, my favorite's Robert Medici. Certainly appears that Peter J. Tomasi has moved on. Dan Jurgens, he's getting some work here and there, but it's a new breed of creators, a new batch of creators are kind of moving in. And I think Joshua Williamson is kind of one of the older, more reliable creators in the DC stable. So I'm very excited that he's going to be on here. And he's not going to be alone. He's going to be partnered with somebody that we've seen him with before, Howard Porter, who they obviously worked on his very fabulous, it's their very fabulous Flash run together for a long time. They're going to be doing Deathstroke Inc. It's going to be debuting September 28th. And this is the information that we have. After suffering too many losses, Slade Wilson decides it's time for a change when he's enlisted to work with an ages-old secret organization called Trust, who want to take down the heavy hitter villains. He's all in. Yeah, I'll take Deathstroke, working for some weird, shady government organization that's not Amanda Waller to go down and take villains down. It's not the most original idea. It sounds a little bit like Suicide Squad. I imagine he's not going to have an implant in his brain that they're going to, use to leverage him to get the job done. But Deathstroke, Slade Wilson leading a team of semi-reformed villains hunting down other villains. Yes, please. Howard Porter on art? Yes, please. Joshua Williamson writing? Absolutely. Sounds very exciting. This is something I love. Deathstroke. He's such a good character. Obviously, really tied into Batman and Teen Titans, more so Teen Titans. If you never read Judas Contract, you've missed out. That is absolutely a fantastic story. I believe it was recently adapted into an animated movie, but don't go watch that. They changed too much. They didn't use the right characters. So just go read the comic book and just forget the animated movie happened. But Deathstroke is an amazing character. Christopher Priest had a fantastic run on the character. And according to him, when he stopped it, which kicked off during Rebirth, the sales still warranted a Deathstroke series continuing, but he had an end game in mind when he started it. So he ended it when he wanted to. So I think it's exciting that we're getting this Deathstroke Inc. Definitely going to be reading this one. There's also going to be some more Deathstroke. Slade Wilson's going to guest star in the August Justice League 66, which I guess is going to be tying into Checkmate, where you got Green Arrow. I think Huntress is in there. No, it's Black Canary. Some of those characters. Doesn't sound like it's leading into this Deathstroke Inc., but you never know. Maybe it's tied into both of them. This is, of all the series, and I'm going to be talking about 5 of them here. This is definitely the one I'm most excited about. There are a lot of people, if you were a fan of Fable, maybe the Batman versus Bigby series is going to be the one for you. This is the one for me. This is the one I think is going to be great. Next up, we have a new Aquaman coming. If you read, Jackson Hyde has been Aqualad within the DC universe for, I believe, 11 years now. But when we read Aquaman Future State, he was Aquaman. And he was teaching Andy Curry, the daughter of Arthur Curry and Mira, like how to become the next Aqualass, I believe is what they were going to call her. I think she might have wanted to be called Aquawoman. I can't remember. But that story is fantastic. And we're getting the writer from that back, Brandon Thomas. He's also the writer of the wonderful Image Comics series, Excellence. I think it's Image Comics. It's definitely an indie. That's something that if you haven't caught up with, go check out Excellence, because you might find out that Brandon Thomas is a heck of a talent. Feels like DC Comics have recognized that and are kind of pushing him here. And we're getting Aquaman the Becoming, and Jackson Hyde will graduate to the mantle of Aquaman and get his own series, the first one he's ever had, entitled Batman Aquaman. It should be Batman the Becoming. It's Aquaman the Becoming. This is going to be a 6-issue miniseries. We're getting a lot of miniseries from DC Comics. They're doing the everything from Marvel is a miniseries. They just don't tell you that. They're just being more upfront about it. Not a whole lot of new ongoings coming out, but a lot of miniseries. So this is also going to be a 6-issue miniseries. Jackson Hyde's an interesting character. He just got he was one of the featured characters in the DC Pride Anthology, one of the better known LGBTQ plus characters in DC's arsenal, just as far as their roster of heroes. Not surprised that he's getting a little bit more shine, but it's warranted in my book, because I really thought of all the Future State books, like the Aquaman Future State stuff was really strong, and he was a big part of that. What they're going to do with Arthur Curry, is he going to be retired? Is he going to die? You never know. Is this even in continuity? That's the big problem with DC Comics. What matters and what doesn't matter? If everything matters, nothing matters. I think that it's one of the frustrations, at least I have, with the Omniverse personally. And if you are not aware of Jackson Hyde, and I imagine a lot of people are, he's part Atlantean, just like Arthur, but his mother is from Exabel, the same place as Mira. He's got similar powers to her, and then he was father raised him, I believe, on land, if I remember that correctly. I'm definitely a customer for this one, too. I enjoyed that Aquaman Future State series enough. It was unfortunate they only got 2 issues to do it, but I think Brandon Thomas gets the character. I think he's a rising star and somebody that you're going to see featured more and more at DC Comics as he kind of knocks them out of the park. I think he's one of those guys that you can just kind of tab. Like DC Comics knows that they have a talent there, and he's going to get bigger and bigger projects. Not certain that this will be, high in demand, Jackson Hyde Aquaman comic, but I'll definitely be reading it. Not sure that I'll be reviewing it, because I don't know if there'll be enough interest, but I'm interested in this one. Next up, we've got a graphic novel coming up. I am a big fan of Titans. I really like the Titans Rebirth series from Dan Abnett. It was completely underrated, underappreciated. That thing was phenomenal. That was one of the best comics to come out of DC Rebirth. If you didn't go read Titans, go back and check it out. I thought it was fantastic. But we are getting Titans United. I'm a little bit skeptical of the creative team. We're getting Kevin Scott, Jose Luis on art duty, and this is going to be a graphic novel. I believe it's being solicited at, it's either $21 or $30. I can't remember which one, but it's got a good lineup here: Nightwing, Donna Troy, Superboy, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, and Red Hood. So you've got a lot of the stalwart like Titans characters coming out of Marv Wolfman and George Perez's New Teen Titans, and then you're throwing in Superboy and Red Hood. And when you hear the solicitation, which I'm about to read, you'll kind of see why they're thrown in there. The Titans face their greatest challenge, their own powers. Nightwing, Donna Troy, Superboy, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, and Red Hood kick off a thrilling new case that will lead one of their own to question not only their place on the team, but their very existence. Certainly, Red Hood and Superboy would have questions like that coming up. You can't really tell which one it would be. Red Hood died. Jason Todd literally died and was resurrected in the Lazarus pits. Superboy has a very convoluted, interesting backstory. As long as it's Connor Kent, I imagine that's got to be the one that they're talking about, because he fits right into a story like this. You also have Donna Troy, is pretty much an afterthought as a Wonder Woman character right now. I like the lineup. We'll see. That's a large price tag to invest on something sight unseen. I will be waiting for the reviews, and if people say it's good, I'll probably check it out. I do not have enough faith in Kevin Scott. He's got a lot to prove, just as far as the quality of his writing, whether or not I'm willing to just go start shelling out money sight unseen. Normally, if I see his name, I have a big, it's an unknown. It's an unknown quantity. I just don't know that he's a good writer yet. But if you're a fan of Titans, finally we're getting we're getting this Titan series. If you are a fan of Titans and you never seriously, if you've never read DC Rebirth Titans by Dan Abnett, go check it out. You'll thank me for it. It's absolutely fantastic. Finally, the last announcement, we probably have, well, not probably, we have the least information about this one. We know that DC does an annual Halloween themed, like one shot kind of anthology. And this year it's going to be called Are You Afraid of Darkseid? Obviously, Jack Kirby's Darkseid, Apocalypse is going to be front and center on that one. Not a whole lot of information. We know it's going to come out on October 5th. Gather around the fire, fellow campers, because it's time for that most terrifying of traditions, campfire story so scary you'll never sleep without a nightlight again. So nothing specific about the story other than Darkseid's going to be there because he's in the title. I believe also it's being at least initially promoted as having like a $9.99 cover price. To me, that indicates it's at least 80 pages, and you probably should at least have one or two big name creators if they're going to put that kind of price tag on it. I hate anthologies. I really do. I normally buy the 80th anniversary stuff that DC was doing, or maybe like a issue 750 at issue 1000, like some of those celebratory ones, because it feels like they put a little bit more emphasis on quality storytelling. So normally I will go in for those, and I'm still, for the most part, disappointed. There have been some that surprised me, like Wonder Woman 750 was much better than anticipated. I thought the Green Lantern one, except for like the last two stories, was almost fantastic across the board. But I wish I could get into anthologies. I know a lot of people like them. They just are not my bag, baby. I do not know why. So I'm going to take a pass on this one. I don't buy the Valentine's anthology. I don't buy the Halloween anthology. I'm not going to read the Christmas anthology. It's just not something I'm interested in. But if you love anthologies, this might be worth your time. We'll have to see what the creative teams are, maybe some of the characters that they're going to explore outside of Darkseid. But for that price tag, I imagine there's going to be at least a couple of well-known creators in there. And that will wrap it up. Those are the DC announcements that we got this week. 3 comics I will definitely be reading and buying. Batman versus Bigby. This feels like it's kind of kicking off Fable again with issue 151 that's going to be coming out next year. Bill Willingham returning to the world, bringing Batman and the Big Bad Wolf from his Fable universe into conflict in the streets of Gotham. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for the series to actually pick back up in full. We got Deathstroke Inc. I think it's a shamocracy. It's a travesty that Deathstroke hasn't had a series since Christopher Priest ended. He hasn't really been featured much either, other than, we did see him quite a bit in, what was that? Tom Taylor's Deceased Universe. We definitely saw him in there. But he's been underused. He's a fantastic villain. He's got a lot of layers to him. Joshua Williamson, Howard Porter, fantastic creative team, proven creative team. They can definitely do some things together. I am absolutely... This is at the top of the heap of stuff I'm really excited for that's been announced that hasn't been released yet. Aquaman The Becoming. I think Brandon Thomas's Aquaman Future State featuring Jackson Hyde was fantastic, so I'm definitely on board for this one. It's unfortunate. All these are kind of mini-series so far, although it does sound like Fable next year will be an ongoing. Then we got a Titans United graphic novel, Kevin Scott. I like the lineup. Nightwing, Donna Troy, Superboy, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, Red Hood. It's a good lineup. Don't know that it's got the right creator on there. I have to see what the reaction is, whether or not I'm actually willing to spend that kind of money. And then I don't do anthologies, but we are getting the Halloween anthology this year. Are You Afraid of Darkseid? And that's about the only information we have, other than like the release date being October 5th. And it looks like it's going to have a $10 cover price. So thank you all very much for joining me today. That's your DC news. Be sure to check us out tomorrow for the Comics Aficionados live right here on the YouTube channel at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. Pacific. We have a lot of fun, lots of stuff to cover. Got a great panel. Perch is going to join us. Joe Corallo. We got Yul Carter from Fantastic Comics. Pele, Doc will be joining us as usual. We'll be talking about, is the comic book industry healthy? What do you guys think? That's going to be the first topic. That'll probably last for the first 40 minutes. So you don't want to miss that one, and I'll talk to y'all later. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat po, and I'm out.